Today I am actually doing some wild foraging on my property. I am foraging for wild violets and dandelions, and I actually have some lilacs, and I have some wild oregano. There's a lot of different things that are growing on my property that I like to forage and dry and use throughout the year for different things. So I will just kind of walk around and show you some of the things that I like to forage for. So first, if we come over here to my little wood pile, this is where we chop wood. You'll see that I have a ton of these little wild violets. You can actually use the flowers and you can use the leaves. You can use the leaves in tinctures, oils. It's really good for things like eczema. You can put it in balms. You can actually take the leaves and you can boil them. You can do all kinds of things to put them in salves. I've actually taken the leaves and just like crunched them up into oils and put them on bug bites. The flowers, you can dry them, you can put them in teas, you can put them in soaps, you can put them in lotions. Some people use them in candles for decorations. You can put them in baking. They're overall a very good flower to have. Right next to this, we have dandelions. Dandelions are a great little, everyone likes to call them a little weed because they are, but they are a great little weed. You can pick them, you can eat the leaves. They're great in salads. You can also eat the flower. I've baked them into cookies. You can make dandelion wines, meads, syrups. You can make all kinds of things with the dandelion. Next up, we have this spring tree. It is the lilac. This grows on my property. Come around here. I've already picked a lot of them, but there is all these ones growing here. Now the lilac, from the flower to the roots, is edible. I personally like to, I've already brought them inside, the ones that I've picked, but I actually like to dry the flowers and put them in tea, but a lot of people will use them for baking. You can use them for many different things. You actually cannot make a lilac essential oil, I've learned. The flowers are just way too delicate. Next by my chopping block, we have, it's not quite wild, but it has become wild. It's all over my property. We have oregano. So I like to forage for this. It has actually popped up everywhere on my property. It's in little batches. Basically, once it has flowered, it spreads. So there's little clumps of it everywhere. So there's just oregano. Next, we're going to come to one of my personal favorites, is the dead nettle. This is this guy here. Dead nettle is a great little weed. Oh, this one has a little bit of powdery mildew on it because it is under the bush, so it doesn't get as much sun. Dead nettle likes to thrive pretty much anywhere it can, but it does like sunlight. So if it starts to grow somewhere, we had some that popped up under our rose bush. It did not get much sunlight, so it did wind up getting powdery mildew. If it grows under a bush, it will be susceptible to that. So the stuff that gets a lot of sun generally will not, but the stuff that is growing under the bush, you have to watch out for that. But this stuff is great. It has a ton of medicinal properties. You can use it and make a wonderful pesto. Next, growing all over my yard is clover. There are several different varieties. You'll see here, this is the higher clover. This is a taller variety. Clover is edible. You can put it in salads. This is my micro clover. It is much shorter, as you'll see, but it's nice and soft. You can eat clovers, you can eat the clover flower. Lots of people put them in salads, put them in all kinds of things. They are quite delicious. They have a nice little bite to them. A new one for me that I'm going to begin foraging for is my tulips. I have a ton of them all over my yard. There's a ton in the front. I have many different colors, but I've recently learned you cannot obviously eat the bulbs. The bulbs and stems do have toxin in them. However, the petals do carry medicinal benefits. You can use them as a salve, you can put them in tea, but the petals, you can dry them out, and they do actually carry some properties that aid in healing. So I will actually be collecting the tulip leaves as they drop. So the last thing I like to forage for in the spring and also in the fall is off of my rose bushes. I do usually tend to still have some rose hips on my rose bushes that I missed. And those are these here. I generally take them off and I make a rose hip tea, and aids in healing as well. There's a lot of benefits to rose hips. I have, goodness, how many rose bushes do I have on my property? I think I have currently 6 full-size, probably about 15 to 20-year-old rose bushes on my property. And I am in the process of putting in 5 climbing varieties, and then I'm looking into another variety that has extra large rose hips and even more medicinal properties. So I will follow back up on those once they are in. But these are very, very good. Once they start to flower, I also use the flowers of the roses for other things. I take the roses and I make oils out of them. I dry the petals, I make potpourris, I make candles. I make all sorts of things out of the roses themselves. I did a very, very heavy pruning of these 3 bushes this year. These are the most floral scented bushes I have in the backyard here. Once they start to bloom, you know it. They are amazing. Yeah, so once these come into bloom, I'll do another video and kind of show you what I do with those. Another thing actually that I have that I'm going to do this year, I was reading up on that I've never actually done. I do have my red dogwood here, and I was reading that in older times, people actually used to harvest the bark of the dogwood and use it medicinally. And I've never actually done it, but I've read a lot on it, and I was going to read a little bit more and harvest some of the bark and, you know, maybe make some oils or medicines out of that. But this is my dogwood here. So that is one thing that I was going to try and maybe do some foraging of. So, but yeah, so that is what I do for my foraging. Currently right now I am doing the dandelions because I have thousands of them right now. Yesterday I did the wild violets. I actually found out that I have a second variety of the wild violets. I want the yellow ones, but I have the purple and I have the ones that are white and purple. I had no idea I had the white and purple ones, but I do. So I was very excited about that. But yeah, so if there's anything else, you know, I know that there's wild plantain somewhere in my yard. And a couple other cool things that I can forage, but they don't pop up for another month or 2. But yeah, so foraging is a lot of fun. You can eat a lot of wild things in your yard. I actually purposely plant a lot of things that I can, you know, let spread and forage later. So it's a lot of fun being able to just, you know, live on the land.